I didn't realize such a weird and embarrassing thing to admit, but my life was just wrapped up in what Kody needed and what he wanted and what the family needed and wanted. I was probably more fixated on that man than
Okay,
so much.
explain that.
So it was like, even when he wasn't there, I'd be thinking, whenever he gets here, we're going to do this and this and this. Because he didn't just insert into my life.
For most of her life, Christine Brown followed the rules of a world that wasn't built for her freedom. She smiled for the cameras. She played the dutiful wife. She laughed when it hurt, because that's what you do when you've been taught that love is shared, not just between two, but four. And in her heart, Christine wanted to believe that love could stretch that far. But something shifted, and now she's done playing nice. Christine Woolley, once Christine Brown, is about to rewrite her story. Not with whispered words behind closed doors, not through the filtered lens of reality TV, but with the raw truth, on paper, in her own voice, and into a microphone for the world to hear. Her memoir comes out September 2nd. She just held the first copy in her hands, crisp, bound, and real, the way her voice has never been allowed to be. She'll be recording the audiobook soon, and then it's yours. You can buy it, read it, hear her. Whether it's from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, it doesn't matter. The point is, she's finally telling her truth. And this isn't just a behind-the-scenes scoop. This is the inside of a woman's unraveling and her rebuilding. She says she's never shared some of what's inside these pages, things she never said on camera, not to the audience, not even to the other wives. Some fans are skeptical, wondering how honest she'll really be, wondering if it'll just be another edited version of events, another glossed-over, network-approved tale. But if you've been watching closely, you know Christine has always been the most transparent, the one least afraid to say Kody was cruel, the one most willing to say, this isn't love anymore, this isn't home. And now, as the pre-release buzz hums louder and her publicity tour begins, Kody and Robyn are bracing for impact. Because Christine's not just writing a book, she's finally holding Kody accountable, legally. Just yesterday, the state of Utah made it official. A judge signed off on a court order that changes everything. Kody Brown has been ordered to pay child support. The fight began quietly. Christine filed in September 2024, not just for child support, but for parenting time, paternity, and custody. Kody struck back with a counterclaim, like a man who can't bear the idea of losing control. Then, the court went dark. No more open proceedings, no more reporters, the record sealed. But now, there's a ruling, and the power has shifted. Paternity has been established, custody finalized, parenting time divided, and child support locked in. And while the numbers haven't been made public, one thing is certain. This hits Kody where it hurts, his pride and his wallet. Because if there's one thing Kody Brown has always protected, it's his money. For years, Christine raised her children alone, emotionally, physically, and financially. On the show, she smiled and said, "We're making it work." But behind the scenes, she was footing the bill while Kody played husband to Robyn, and only Robyn. When the tell-all aired, Suki tried to get answers. Christine made it clear. She paid for everything. And when Kody was pressed, his defense? Well, I paid for cars. Cars. As if a $2,000 car makes up for a lifetime of absent parenting. As if 4 wheels could replace bedtime stories, tuition, or spinal surgery. Christine's daughter, Isabel, underwent a major procedure for scoliosis. And Kody didn't pay a dime. Not for the surgery, not for the travel, not for the recovery. Christine did. And she didn't complain. But now, the law is finally on her side. In Utah, if one parent has over 51% of the custody, the other pays. Christine qualifies, and the court has spoken. Child support is owed. It doesn't matter if Kody lives like a king in a $2 million home, or whether Robyn keeps collecting dolls like their family members. What matters is, truly deserves support. And Christine has demanded it. And here's the twist. Christine could have gone even further. Once paternity is established in Utah, a parent can seek retroactive child support, up to 4 years back. That includes medical bills, that includes back pay, and that includes the thousands Kody never paid. We don't know if she went that far. We might never know. But the fact that she could is enough to make Kody sweat. Because here's the other thing about child support in Utah. If you don't pay, the state doesn't just send reminders. They take it from your paycheck, From your bank, they garnish your wages. They can even file liens against you. And if you fall far enough behind, they can hit you with criminal penalties. This isn't a TV show anymore. This is real life, real consequences. And while Kody's flying solo through airports looking miserable, caught by Reddit users in Texas, not Utah, Christine is preparing for something bigger, something lasting. Revenge? Maybe. But not the petty kind. This is justice. A slow, steady reclaiming of everything she lost and everything she's becoming. If karma comes quietly, Brown Woolley is its softest whisper. She's not out for blood. She doesn't scream into microphones or throw accusations across tabloids. No, she's smarter than that. Sharper. This woman plays the long game. And now, with a court order in one hand and her memoir in the other, she's not chasing justice anymore. She owns it. Kody Brown, once the self-proclaimed patriarch of a sprawling family tree, is watching his carefully crafted image crumble, one legal filing at a time. He never expected this. Christine was the sweet one, the loyal third wife who giggled through awkward moments and played peacemaker when the house grew tense. He thought she would crumble. He thought she'd come crawling back. He didn't count on her rising. And now Kody's wallet is on the hook, likely for thousands each month. And Christine? She's standing taller than ever. But here's what stings more than the child support ruling. Christine forced him into accountability. You see, in Utah, it's not just about handing over a check and walking away, number. It's formal. It's structured. There's a system. The payments go through the state. They're tracked, enforced, and if you slip up, the state steps in. Miss one too many payments, and suddenly your bank account's frozen. Your paycheck's docked. Your credit tanks. Your name ends up on court dockets and public records. And Kody, he's the kind of man who likes to control the narrative. But this, he can't edit out. He can't spin this into some persecution story. There's a judge's name on the order now. And that's something Robyn can't charm her way out of. Let's talk about Robyn, actually, because every time Kody gets hit with financial consequences, it's not just his pride that takes a hit. It's their shared empire. The one they built in secret homes and whispered promises while the other wives were still fighting for scraps of his attention. They're not just a couple anymore. They're business partners in survival. And survival for Robyn means maintaining her comforts. The online sleuths, the Reddit threads, the comment sections, the side-eyed fans have noticed something. While the rest of the family split apart, Robyn's house stayed pristine, fully furnished, expensive, and filled with one strange, unshakable detail: porcelain dolls, hundreds of them, according to reports, lining shelves, sitting on couches, filling cabinets like relics of a lost childhood. And while everyone has their quirks, theirs come with a price tag. People have estimated the collection is worth tens of thousands. And then there's Kody's spending habits: flashy trucks, fancy trailers, big land purchases in Flagstaff, toys for himself, and debts he pretends don't exist. Because here's what no one tells you about men like Kody. They never think they'll be held accountable. Not really. And when the child support ruling dropped, you could almost hear the gears screeching in his head. This wasn't supposed to happen. He thought Christine would stay quiet, that she wouldn't rock the boat, that she'd be too scared. But she filed, she stood firm, she didn't back down. And now? He's legally bound to support the child he emotionally abandoned. Truly, the youngest of their children has quietly become the face of Christine's fight. And while Kody tried to reduce fatherhood to a couple of used cars and tuition for the favorite kids, Christine kept receipts, literal and emotional. She knew every late-night bill, every copay, every school expense, every unanswered phone call. So when the court asked her to list her financial contributions, she had proof. When they asked what Kody paid, she had silence, and that silence spoke volumes. But Christine didn't stop there. Because Utah law gave her another option: retroactive compensation, the chance to ask for years of back pay, to finally get reimbursed for the surgeries, the schooling, the emotional labor Kody never acknowledged. And we may never know if she took that route. She may never say it out loud, but the fact that he knows she could have, that's the real punishment. And maybe, just maybe, that's why he looked so furious walking through that Texas airport last week. No Robyn, no smile, just the look of a man who built his kingdom on shaky ground and finally saw the cracks. Reddit had a field day. He looks like he hasn't slept. He's losing it. Where's Robyn? And while the internet speculated, Christine stayed quiet, focused, intentional. She wasn't gloating. She didn't need to. Because her revenge, it's not loud. It's steady. It's bound in 300 pages of truth and printed in hardcover. It's signed by a judge. It's tucked into the pages of a court docket. And it's wearing a wedding ring from a man who actually shows up. Healing doesn't happen in silence. Sometimes it happens in the most public, uncomfortable ways. With cameras rolling, with old wounds cracked open under the glow of studio lights, with strangers dissecting your past like they own it. Christine knows that, and still she speaks. She speaks because there's power in truth, power in putting language to the pain, not just for herself, but for every woman watching from the shadows of her own fractured life. Her upcoming memoir is already shaking the ground beneath Kody's feet, but its ripple effect, it's reaching further than even Christine expected. And the one person who seems most rattled by the honesty? Meri. She's been going live on TikTok lately, smiling, dancing, answering questions, the way people do when they're trying not to cry. And in one of those live streams, the mask slipped, just a little. Someone brought up Christine, brought up the way she talks about Kody now, the way she opens up to David, the way she compares, and Meri didn't hold back. She scoffed. I don't understand why she's always talking about Kody to her new husband. It wasn't said with kindness. It wasn't said with curiosity. It was laced with bitterness, with pain, with something deeper than rivalry, something closer to abandonment. Because in Meri's world, loyalty looks like silence, like enduring, like staying at the table, even when there's no food left for you. And Christine? She flipped the table over and walked away. That kind of freedom is hard to watch when you've spent your life tethered to obedience. But here's what Meri, and so many others, don't understand. When you leave a high-control relationship, you don't walk out healed. You walk out haunted. Your new life isn't just fresh paint and better lighting. It's ghosts. It's shadows. It's realizations that hit you in the middle of the grocery store. This man is kind to me. He listens when I talk. I'm not afraid anymore. And sometimes when you're with someone good, truly good, you notice everything you never had before, and you say it out loud, not to compare, not to demean, but because naming it is how you process it. David isn't Christine's rebound. He's her safe space, her mirror, her proof that love doesn't have to be sacrificed at the altar of religion or obedience or shared husbands. And so yes, she talks to him about the past. She tells him what she survived. And he listens without judgment. That's not dwelling. That's healing. Because when you've only ever known conditional love, healthy love feels like a revolution. But Meri's still in that in-between place. Not with Kody, but not fully gone from his orbit. She still speaks of him like he's owed something. Grace, space, quiet grief. But what about the grief Christine carried? The grief of watching your husband prioritize another woman while pretending the spiritual vows still meant something? The grief of knowing your children would always be second to someone else's? Christine gave Kody more than grace. She gave him decades. Now she's giving herself a voice. And some people, like Meri, aren't ready for what that sounds like. Because it forces a mirror. It asks, why didn't I leave? And there's no soft answer to that. Meanwhile, Christine isn't asking anyone's permission to tell her truth. Not Kody's, not Robyn's, not Meri's, not even the audience's. She's earned the right to narrate her own life. And the closer we get to the memoir's release, the more people are starting to sweat, because Christine has receipts. Not just emotional ones, but literal ones. She lived in a house where love had rules, where approval was currency, where smiles were part of the job. And now, she lives in a home with laughter, with warmth, with a man who doesn't make her prove she's worthy of affection. That contrast doesn't sit well with the people still clinging to the old system. But Christine isn't looking back. Because the truth is, she's not writing a tell-all out of revenge. She's writing a roadmap, a survival guide for women who've been told that suffering is holy, that staying is strength, that love means disappearing yourself piece by piece. Christine's telling them, you can leave. You're allowed to want joy. You're allowed to stop apologizing for wanting more. And while Kody scrambles to manage his image, juggling legal obligations and a shaky marriage with Robyn, Christine is glowing. You can see it in the photos, in the way she holds David's hand without hesitation, in the way Truly leans into his shoulder like it's always been home, because Truly, quiet, sensitive, observant Truly, has seen it all. She saw her dad's absence, his excuses, his favoritism, She watched her mom cry in kitchens and smile through holidays. And now, she sees a different kind of love. A love that doesn't punish. A love that shows up. A love that tucks her in and asks how her day was. Every day. David didn't just marry Christine. He chose Truly too. And that choice has rewritten everything. It's not perfect. It's not effortless. But it's intentional. And for a girl who spent her childhood waiting for her father to remember her birthday, that means more than any court order ever could. So while Christine records her audiobook, page by page, breath by breath, she's not just telling her story. She's reclaiming it, one sentence at a time. There's a moment, quiet, barely noticeable, where survival turns into peace. Christine Brown found it. Not with fanfare, not with revenge, but with stillness. For years, she carried a weight that wasn't hers. The guilt, the silence, the endless mental math of, how do I keep the peace, while slowly erasing herself. Now the math has changed. She's not subtracting herself anymore. She's building a life, a marriage, a future. The court order, that was a victory, but it wasn't the win. The win was the smile on Truly's face, the soft way Christine says, home now, like it means something it never did before. The strength in her voice when she says, this is my truth. Christine didn't break the rules of polygamy. She broke free from them. And maybe the others, Meri, even Janelle, will find their own peace in time. But Christine isn't waiting for anyone to catch up. She's too busy living the life she once only dreamed about. The book will come out. The headlines will roll. Cody will spin. Robyn will retreat. The gossip will swirl. But Christine, she'll be sitting at her kitchen table, coffee in hand, David across from her, smiling like she's the sun, Truly laughing in the other room. That's the story that matters now. Not the pain, not the past, the after. Because sometimes the most radical thing a woman can do is finally choose herself.